The Samsung Galaxy S3 was one of the best-selling handsets of 2012. We've decided to pit the newer 4G LTE version against the new Android flagship, the Sony Xperia Z. Let's take a look. The Galaxy S3 is said to be inspired by nature, and this is reflected in the smooth lines, rounded corners, and soft hyperglaze finish. The plastic construction keeps things light, despite its size as well. There's also a number of hardware controls, such as the power lock key and volume rocker down the sides, and a single hardware home button with two capacitive keys either side. MicroSIM, microSD and battery compartments are behind the removable back, and there's 12GB of usable storage built in. The Xperia Z looks far more imposing, with Sony's omni-balanced design keeping the aesthetic of the handset straight and symmetrical. Its size means the Z won't play well with smaller hands or pockets, but it looks great nonetheless. Menu back and home buttons appear on the screen only when needed, and the majority of the ports and controls are covered under reflective plastic down the sides, in order to maintain the phone's IP55 and 57 certifications for water and dust resistance. The battery isn't removable, but there's a microSD slot on top and 12GB of internal memory. Both phones support 4G and include NFC chips too. The Galaxy S3 has a 4.7-inch 1280 by 720 HD Super AMOLED display, and the Xperia Z brings a mammoth 5-inch Full HD, that's 1920 by 1080, panel to the table. Naturally, the tech in play means that whites and colours are more accurately reproduced on the LCD of the Xperia Z, but the S3's AMOLED screen offers excellent blacks and a punchier colour palette. The extra resolution does make even the smallest text far more readable, and of course Full HD movies play in their native resolution, which looks stunning. The Samsung Galaxy S3 has a 1.4GHz quad-core processor, and the Sony Xperia Z a 1.5GHz quad-core processor. Both have 2GB of RAM. Neither phone feels sluggish, but with the more taxing 3D games, the S3 dropped frames less often, and the controls felt more responsive, amounting to a small but noticeable difference. Battery life too lasts a fraction longer on the S3, partly as a result of the AMOLED's power usage over LCD screens and the smaller screen size in general. Both phones run Android Jelly Bean 4.1, with Samsung's TouchWiz Nature UX Android overlay heavily altering the stock Android experience on the S3. Sony's tweaks and changes are less dramatic. The Xperia Z feels cleaner, and thanks to the hardware on offer, runs lag-free through all of its animations and transitions. The widgets and customization options offer far more than previous iterations of Sony's user experience, but still don't quite beat TouchWiz for flexibility. It might not be as clean, but if you like to tinker, the S3 has the edge. The Samsung Galaxy S3's 8MP snapper has proven to be a competent all-round performer in previous camera comparisons, with a wealth of options to tweak and change, Full HD video recording and Smart Shoot modes. The 13MP sensor at work on the Xperia Z takes incredible shots, with special mention going to its capabilities in macro photography. The party piece, however, falls to HDR shooting modes, which gives significantly greater dynamic range to your stills and, for the first time on a mobile handset, your videos. Overall, we like the images produced on both cameras, but the additional resolution makes for a cleaner, crisper image on the Z. Not to mention, HDR does wonders for preserving detail in high contrast situations, something the S3 can't quite compete against. The Galaxy S3 might be the older of the two handsets, but with the additional RAM and 4G functionality, the gap is a lot closer than you might think. The Sony Xperia Z feels more premium, has superior camera, and is waterproof. It also wins out as a multimedia device, but the S3 offers more flexibility and a greater all-round balance of performance, power, longevity, and customization.